Yun Zikin was a weak, pitiful punching bag, used, abused, and treated worse than a blood bag for her sickly cousin. But after a near-death accident, the soul of a legendary diviner awakens inside her, and now the so-called useless adopted daughter is about to make the entire Yun family regret ever crossing her. Chapter 1. Yun Zikin's life changes completely when she wakes up from a terrible accident that nearly kills her. For months, doctors have been taking blood from her body every single day, making her extremely weak and tired all the time. The constant blood loss finally causes her to collapse and have a serious accident. While she recovers from her injuries, something incredible happens. A powerful soul that has been sleeping deep inside her mind for 17 whole years suddenly wakes up and takes control of her body, bringing back all the memories from her past life. This young woman belongs to the wealthy and influential Yun family as their real biological daughter, but her story begins with tragedy and betrayal. When she was barely old enough to remember, Yun Zikin vanished without leaving any clues behind, disappearing for 16 long years. During all that time, her family mourned her loss and eventually adopted another girl to help them cope with the empty space she left behind. When the Yun family finally discovers Yun Zikin and brings her back to their mansion 1 year ago, she expects to receive the warm welcome that any long-lost daughter deserves. Instead of celebrating her return with joy and relief, her own blood relatives treat her worse than a stranger off the streets. The shocking truth becomes clear very quickly. Her family only wanted her back so they could use her body as a source of fresh blood for her chronically ill cousin. After the accident, Yun Zikin slowly opens her eyes and immediately notices that her mind feels completely different than before. A throbbing pain shoots through her arm like lightning, and when she examines it carefully, she discovers dark purple bruises covering her skin from all the blood draws. The realization hits her like a truck. She survived the accident, but something much more mysterious happened during her recovery. Her consciousness seems to have traveled through time and space, landing back in her original body with all her previous memories intact. The hospital room door swings open with a loud creak, and a stern-looking woman marches inside with an attitude full of contempt and disgust. The woman announces that she thought Yun Zikin had died from the accident and criticizes her for being so weak that she faints from simple blood collection procedures. Her voice carries a sharp, cutting tone that makes it clear she considers Yun Zikin to be completely worthless. While delivering her harsh words, the woman deliberately presses her fingers into Yun Zikin's tender bruises, causing additional pain on purpose. The situation escalates quickly when Yun Zikin decides she will not tolerate this abuse any longer. Her eyebrows furrow together with determination, and in one swift motion, she grabs the woman's wrist and slams her hand down against the bedside table with surprising strength. Another person in the room rushes forward in panic and desperately tells Yun Zikin to release her grip immediately. This second person explains that the woman she just attacked is Dr. Liu, a medical professional who works at the hospital and supposedly tries to help patients recover from their injuries. Hearing this explanation, Yun Zikin loosens her fingers and allows Dr. Liu to pull her hand away from the table. She offers a brief apology and explains that since she just regained consciousness, she mistakenly thought some kind of wild animal had bitten her arm. Dr. Liu's face turns bright red with embarrassment and fury, and she responds by calling Yun Zikin terrible names and insulting her background and upbringing. The other girl in the room asks Yun Zikin how she feels and says that everything bad that happens is her own fault. She explains that if she was not sick, then Yun Zikin would not have to give her blood all the time. This girl is Yun Lui, who is Yun Zikin's cousin and the daughter that the Yun family considers their real heir. Yun Lui is also a famous piano player who everyone knows about. Because of her genes, Yun Lui has a very rare disease that makes her blood not clot properly, which means that even tiny cuts can make her bleed so much that she could die. Yun Zikin looks down at her own thin wrist and sees the blue veins showing through her pale skin. She understands that this woman only sees her as a walking bag of blood that she can use whenever she wants. Yun Zikin had died in a world where people could do magic and fight with special powers, but now she has come back to her old life on Earth, after her consciousness slept for almost 17 years. Now her mind and all her memories have completely returned to her. She is still the same person named Yun Zikin, but she is no longer the divine diviner who could predict what would happen in the future and see through lies and tricks. Dr. Liu asks why Yun Lui is saying sorry to Yun Zikin and says that Yun Zikin is just a country girl that the family adopted. She also asks about what happened earlier and wants to know who pushed Yun Lui down the stairs. Yun Zikin frowns and does not say anything back. Dr. Liu gets mad about Yun Zikin's attitude and says she will not treat her anymore. Yun Zikin tells the doctor that the door is right there if she wants to leave. Dr. Liu expected that Yun Zikin would beg her to stay and help, but instead Yun Zikin acts like she does not care at all. The doctor gets even angrier and calls Yun Zikin bad names and accuses her of trying to steal her future uncle. Yun Lui tells Yun Zikin that Dr. Lu is a specialist and warns her that if she makes the doctor angry, something bad will happen to her body. Yun Zikin responds that Dr. Lu is just someone who gives glucose through IVs, and that people would think she needed major surgery based on how the doctor acts. When Yun Lui hears this, she suddenly feels worried and uncomfortable. Yun Zikin says that she also wants to know who pushed her cousin down the stairs because people who do bad things always leave evidence behind. She asks her cousin if she agrees with this statement. Yun Zikin does not wait for Yun Lui to answer and walks toward the door, but then she stops. She mentions that she heard her cousin specially chose this hospital room for her, and that the number is very lucky. Yun Lui starts to feel like things are getting out of her control. While thinking about this situation, Yun Lui takes out her phone and calls someone named Mo Yuan. She asks Mo Yuan to help her persuade Yun Zikin because Yun Zikin usually listens to what Mo Yuan says. Outside the hospital, heavy snow falls down from the sky and covers the entire city in a bright white blanket. Even though it is 9 p.m. at night, the streets are still full of people walking around and the city feels very alive and busy. A girl with a very pale face walks slowly through all the people, looking completely lost and confused about where she should go. Chapter 2. On the other side of the street, a man watches as the girl walks past him, and a small smile appears on his face. The man tells his friend that he can see someone interesting approaching them. His friend keeps a relaxed and uninterested look on his face as he listens. The first man explains that this girl is another one of his former girlfriends who he used to date. He mentions that his friend just returned to town, so he would not know about this girl's recent situation. The man continues to explain that she is the girl who the Doan family adopted just a few months ago during the winter season. The man goes on to describe how a few days earlier, a big scandal happened when people discovered that she was trying to seduce her future uncle-in-law, which caused many people in the community to talk and gossip about the situation. Now he wonders why she is walking around outside in public when everyone knows about her embarrassing situation. He thinks her current situation seems quite sad and unfortunate for someone her age. The first man reveals that the Doan family only decided to adopt her because they needed someone who could provide blood transfusions for their daughter Doan Lo Vei, who has serious health problems. All of a sudden, the two men hear loud noises and shouting coming from the area across the street where the girl is walking. Several dangerous-looking men appear from hiding places and completely block the girl's path, so she cannot continue walking. One of the observers named Yi Chao thinks about stepping in to help the girl who appears to be in trouble. However, his friend tells him that they should not get involved and suggests they leave immediately. The friend warns that it will become very troublesome for them if the girl tries to cling to them for protection or help after they rescue her. Before Yi Chao can move forward to help the girl, something completely unexpected and surprising happens right in front of their eyes. The girl quickly spins around in a circle and performs a perfect over-the-shoulder throw move with cold and ruthless precision that shows her fighting skills. Within just 10 seconds of starting the fight, she releases a series of fast punches and powerful kicks that successfully take down one of the attacking men. The remaining man becomes very angry and frustrated, so he pulls out a sharp knife to threaten her. However, the girl moves quickly and skillfully disarms him by taking the weapon away from his hands. Yi Chao's eyes become very wide with complete disbelief as he watches the scene, and his voice starts trembling with fear as he speaks. He cannot understand how she was just in the hospital recently, but now she suddenly transforms into a dangerous fighting machine who can defeat multiple attackers. Walken stands with his arms crossed as he witnesses the entire violent scene happening in front of them, and he suddenly starts to chuckle with amusement. He comments that this particular girl seems very interesting and different from what he expected. Yi Chao pinches his thigh very hard, and the sharp pain confirms for him that this incredible fighting scene is not just a dream he is having. He asks his friend if he also saw how every single one of her attacks was completely precise and calculated. He realizes that if she had used just a little more force during her attacks, those men would not just be lying on the ground injured. He wonders if it is possible that she could be a cultivator with special powers. If she really is a cultivator with magical abilities, and the Doan family is practically keeping a powerful deity in their home. The situation becomes even more strange when he thinks about how this cultivator is just their adopted daughter, but they are treating her like she's only a walk-in blood bank for their real daughter. Just at that moment, a hand suddenly lands on Yi Chao's shoulder and a cold voice speaks directly from behind him in a threatening tone. A chill immediately runs down Yi Chao's entire spine as he realizes he might have been overheard while he was badmouthing someone. Chen Yip Chao's knees buckle underneath him and he lands on the hard ground with a loud thud. He desperately explains that he was just gossiping and shooting his mouth off without thinking about his words. He insists that he did not mean any real harm to anyone and begs the person to spare him from punishment. Walken looks down at the kneeling Yip Chow and scoffs at his pathetic position on the ground. He sarcastically asks if Yip Chow is proposing marriage to him with that submissive posture. Yip Chow explains that he did not want to kneel down, but his stupid leg gave out from fear. Yeon Zigan watches as Yip Chow struggles to get back to his feet, and she raises one eyebrow with curiosity. She tells him that there is no need for him to be so frightened about the situation. She then provides him with a specific warning about his future, telling him that 3 days from now at exactly 7 o'clock in the evening, he will encounter a very dangerous situation at bar number 1 on Hwangpu Road. She strongly advises him to stay completely away from the entire Hwangpu area during that time because his life could depend on following her warning. Yip Chio's eyes widen with fear as he asks if she can tell fortunes about people's futures. The girl explains that while the thanks are not necessary, she appreciates both of them for helping her during the fight. She admits that the thanks are just an excuse because she really wanted to test how much of her divination ability remains after her recent recovery. She discovers that she needs a bit more time to fully recover her powers, but her current abilities are enough for basic fortune-telling. Walken asks why she gave Yip Chow a reading about his future but not him. Yip Chow, who is still shaken from the experience, looks at Hwakin and asks why he is being so nosy about other people's business. Hwakin tells Yip Chow not to mind his curiosity and asks the girl where she wants to go next. He offers that they will take her anywhere she needs to travel. Yeon Zigang shakes her head to refuse their offer and turns around to leave the area. However, just as she turns to walk away, her stomach growls very loudly, demanding food and sustenance after the physical fight. The sound is loud enough to make Hwakin chuckle with amusement at the timing. He tells her that her benefactor insists on thanking her properly for the warning about the future danger and wants to treat her to a nice dinner at a restaurant. Chapter 3. Later, the waiter continues setting up their table while Yip Chow remains amazed by what he sees happening before him. Young Master Fu appears to have connections with the owner of Ham Palace Restaurant, which surprises Yip Chow because even his own father needs to make reservations 3 months ahead of time just to get a table at this exclusive place. This becomes a special occasion since young Master Fu decides to pay for everyone's meal. At the expensive restaurant, he tells his friend to eat as much as he wants because Fu has plenty of money to spend on dinner. However, his companion mentions that money happens to be the one thing he lacks in his life right now. Fu responds by asking why his friend's money problems should concern him at all. He wonders if the Yun family provides any kind of allowance or spending money for daily expenses. The friend explains that he considers himself completely useless and only good at causing embarrassment for his family members, so they refuse to give him any financial support. Fu tells his friend that the family members must be blind if they cannot see his good qualities. He points out that his friend's table manners remind him of the elegant behavior seen in medieval European royal courts from centuries ago. Yip Chow stares with his mouth open in shock and asks what Fu means by bringing up aristocratic etiquette and proper behavior. Yeon Zigan stops moving and holds her hand above her drinking glass while she thinks about the past. She explains that some old habits never completely disappear from a person's behavior patterns. She tells them that she first came to Earth during the middle of the 15th century when European royalty invited her to be their guest. She realizes that she probably should learn to adjust her behavior to fit her current living situation and circumstances. After thinking about this, she starts to feel more relaxed about her situation. She never expected that she would return to Earth after everything that happened to her. She suffered from very serious injuries that completely destroyed her spirit and left her consciousness. Sleeping for almost 17 full years, she only woke up completely earlier today for the first time. When she finally woke up, she discovered that she found herself in a rather sad and disappointing situation. She currently needs large amounts of jade stones and medicinal herbs to help restore her physical body and replace the vital energy that she lost during her long recovery period. She asks what kinds of entertainment and fun activities people can find in Gucheng City. Fu tells her that there are plenty of things to do and asks why she has lived there for so long without exploring the area. She responds that being used as a walking blood bank probably does not allow much freedom for personal activities. Walken slides a bowl of red date soup across the table toward her and tells her to drink it, because her body needs the blood-replenishing nutrients. He frowns while thinking about something that bothers him. He wonders how many different times Yun Zigan got injured during the past year. Yishu cracks his knuckles and starts calculating numbers in his head. He counts that she went to the hospital at least 20 separate times just for serious injuries that required overnight stays. He points out that everyone knows Don Lo Vi has hemophilia, so all the family members and friends try to protect her very carefully from getting hurt. He cannot understand how she managed to get injured so many different times despite all the protection. He asks his big brother if he provided blood transfusions to her during all 20 of those hospital visits. She confirms that he did help her every single time and explains that without his assistance, her body would have run out of vital energy long ago when she first woke up. She mentions that her situation could probably earn her a place in the Guinness World Records because of how unusual it is. The young master's gentle tone of voice clearly shows that he feels genuinely angry about the whole situation, even though he tries to hide his emotions. Deputy Xiao agrees that her brain definitely needs some extra nutritional support to function properly. At this exact moment, the beautifully carved wooden door of the Ham Pavilion restaurant opens once again to let in more customers. The man walking at the front of the group turns out to be Don Lo Vai's fiancé, who also happens to be the heir to the wealthy Jiang family fortune. His name is John MacVien, and he comes from a very important family. The restaurant manager steps forward to greet the new arrival and tells Mr. Jiang that his reserved table waits for him in another section of the restaurant. The manager offers to guide him to the correct location where his party should sit for dinner. The secretary, who follows behind Jiang MacVien, suddenly moves forward and asks his boss to look in a specific direction across the restaurant. Jiang MacVien looks up and sees the Doan family's daughter sitting at a table with the Fo family's playboy, and they appear to be having an intense conversation together. Jiang MacVien frowns with displeasure and walks quickly toward their table to confront them. The people who came with him exchange confused looks because they do not understand why he suddenly changed his plans for the evening. He accuses the girl of running away from the hospital just so she could flirt with other people at the restaurant. The girl does not recognize the man who stands in front of her, but he loudly accuses her of trying to seduce him and other men. The person standing beside him also warns her that she should know her proper place in society and stop causing trouble. She finds the whole situation very interesting and entertaining. She explains that she escaped to this place to get away from problems, but Uncle Jiang still wants to chase after her and give her lectures about proper behavior. She asks who really clings to whom in this complicated relationship. She observes that these days everyone thinks they represent the center of the entire universe and that everything revolves around them. The man becomes angry and asks how she dares to speak to them in such a disrespectful manner. Fo Van Pham laughs at the whole situation, which causes John MacVien to become even more angry and storm away from their table in frustration. Chapter 4. Watching Jiang MacVien get embarrassed and put in his place feels truly refreshing and satisfying to see happen. Fo Van Pham tells the girl that she acts pretty disgusting herself when she behaves that way toward other people. He suggests that if she wants to go out and have fun, she can visit the pedestrian street, the amusement park, or the aquarium, because they all offer good entertainment options for young people. He also mentions that there is a night market located by the TV tower that features fortune-telling and gambling activities for visitors who want to try their luck. When he mentions fortune-telling, he specifically talks about tarot cards as an example of what people can find there. She responds with excitement that she has not played with tarot cards in many years and finds them very interesting. However, she wonders if real tarot cards even exist anymore in this current age when spiritual energy has become so weak and depleted compared to earlier times. Fo Van Pham agrees that she shows more interest in these mystical things than most ordinary girls her age typically do. He explains that the Meg Market does not open until after midnight, so if she wants to go there, she should find him to go together as her companion. He warns her that it attracts a mixed crowd of different types of people, which makes it unsafe for a young girl to go there alone without protection. After everyone finishes eating their satisfying meal at the restaurant, Fo Van Pham decides to take Don Tu Cam home to her family's house. During their walk, he mentions that he heard Jiang MacVien brought her from Tham Phui district all the way to Ho City for some reason. She confirms that Jiang MacVien said he wanted to bring her to Than Tri so she could attend school there and get a better education. However, she explains that they got into a serious car accident while traveling on the way to their destination. During her medical treatment at the hospital, the doctors discovered that she has exactly the same blood type as Don Lo Vai, which is why the Don family decided to take her into their household. She describes herself as a walking blood bank that got delivered right to their doorstep, so they could not refuse such a convenient opportunity. Fo Van Pham tilts his head to one side and gently ruffles Tu Cam's hair in a sympathetic way to show that he understands her difficult situation. She asks him what he thinks he is doing and warns him that he might get himself into serious trouble or even killed. He tells her to stop thinking too much about her problems and to go home quickly before it gets too late. Fo Van Pham does not leave immediately after saying goodbye, but instead stays to watch. Tu Cam walks toward the large villa where her family lives. Before she can reach the front door of the house, it swings open by itself to reveal someone waiting inside. The butler of the villa comes out to greet her and tells her that Second Miss has finally decided to return home after staying out so late. The butler explains that Madam has given specific instructions that Cam may only enter the house when she has learned her lesson about proper behavior and following family rules. Cam responds by saying goodbye and starting to turn away from the door. The butler quickly steps forward to stop her from leaving and tells her to just apologize obediently like a good daughter should do. He asks what good her disobedience will do for anyone involved in this situation. Cam points out that even the Yuan family servants now dare to give orders to their mistress and tell her what she should do. Fu Wenshen appears at the scene without anyone noticing when he arrived there. Cam expresses surprise that he has not left yet after their dinner together. The butler realizes that this creates a bad situation because Second Miss has somehow gotten entangled with young Master Fu, who has a reputation for causing trouble. Fu Wen Shen says it turns out to be a good thing that he had not left yet, because otherwise his little friend would have been bullied by the household staff. He dismisses the butler as unimportant and says that a beating will settle the matter quickly and effectively. He asks who the butler said should apologize for their behavior. The sound of a slap rings out clearly in the quiet evening air. The butler immediately apologizes to Second Miss and admits that he should not have been disrespectful to her in any way. He takes full responsibility and says that everything was completely his fault. Fu Wenshen tells Cam that they should go inside now because he will personally escort his little friend into the house this time to make sure she gets inside safely. Zhang Manhwa, who is Yuan Zicam's mother, sits comfortably in the living room reading a book or magazine to pass the time. When she hears footsteps approaching from the entrance, she does not bother to look up from her reading material at first. She asks if Second Miss has finally decided to yield and give in to the family's demands for proper behavior. However, when she finally raises her head to see who entered the room, she feels startled and surprised to find Fu Wenshen standing there instead. Fu Wenshen has a reputation as Fu City's most notorious playboy, who causes trouble wherever he goes. Chapter 5. So it's young Master Fu. I just heard you returned from abroad. What brings you to the Yuan residence so late? I'm bringing my little friend home. I was worried she might be bullied. What do you mean? Who would dare bully my daughter? At this point, the butler recounted the recent events. Young Master Fu, this was a misunderstanding. I apologize for troubling you with such a long trip. I'm relieved to hear your explanation. Madam Yuan treating her daughter well will only enhance her reputation. Little friend, call me if anything happens. Yuan Zicam nodded. Drive safely. Good night. Then Yuan Zicam went upstairs. Look at her attitude. First, she was flirting with Jiang Mo, Yuan, and now she's seducing Fu Wenshen. Madam, it's 10:30. Eldest Miss is still waiting for your call. Look at my memory. I almost forgot. Xiaohui's mother. How was your day? The butler standing nearby shook his head, a weary expression on his face. Years ago, Second Miss had suddenly disappeared. To cover up the scandal, the Yuan family had adopted another girl. But now, with the return of their biological daughter, Madame Yuan treated the innocent girl with disdain, seeing her as nothing more than a walking blood bank. Back in her room, Yuan Zicam opened her laptop and saw she only had a little over 500 yuan left, but it should be enough. She immediately jumped from the 3rd floor. I thought I heard something fall. My old eyes are playing tricks on me. I thought Second Miss was sneaking out again. In a bar, the bartender teased Fu Wenshen. Someone's offered $10 billion for your head, and you're still gallivanting around. They have to find me first. He turned his head and spotted the little girl. It seems some little friends aren't very obedient. Don Cam spent 500 yuan on a stone bowl and then expected the stall owner to throw in an antique coin worth millions. It's just something I picked up by the river to trick people. You really think you stumbled upon a treasure? Take it and go. Chapter 6. However, at that exact moment, someone blocks the little girl's path and stops her from continuing forward. A person approaches her and explains that his master wants to purchase the item that she holds in her hand for 6 million yuan as payment. The stall owner's facial expression changes immediately when he hears about the large amount of money being offered. He asks in amazement if the item really has that much value and worth in the current market. The girl thinks about the offer for only 0.01 seconds before she agrees to complete the transaction and sell the item. She thanks the buyer politely for letting her make this profitable sale. The buyer hands her a card that contains 6 million yuan as payment for the antique item. However, the stall owner suddenly declares that the coin belongs to him, because he found it first, so the money should go to him instead of the girl. The girl firmly refuses to give up her payment and states that she will not sell the item to the stall owner. The stall owner argues that she has already completed the sale, so she cannot just change her mind about the agreement. He demands that she give the money back to the original buyer. Don Cam becomes angry and sends the antique dealer flying several meters through the air with a single powerful kick. She then hands the antique coin over to the other man who made the original offer. She tells him to take the black card and thanks him politely for his business and patronage. A manager who had not been seen before steps forward and leads the injured antique dealer away from the scene. He then turns to Doan Tukam and respectfully apologizes to her for the trouble and confusion that occurred during the transaction. Pho Van Them and the bartender stand together in the crowd and watch all the commotion happening around them. The bartender comments that it seems like his little friend displays some fierce and aggressive behavior when she gets upset. Pho Van Them asks what the bartender means by making such a comment. He defends the girl by saying that she appears clearly well-behaved and adorable most of the time. The bartender points out that kicking someone several meters through the air shows that she has quite a lot of nerve and strength. The master and his servant, having successfully acquired the ancient coin they wanted, decide to leave the flea market and go home. Suddenly, the old man begins coughing very violently and then clutches his chest tightly before collapsing to the ground. The servant realizes that this creates a very bad situation because the master just had surgery not very long ago. He wonders how the medical condition could relapse so quickly after the recent operation. The servant explains that divine Dr. Man, who represents the only person capable of saving the master's life, lives all the way in the imperial capital, which is very far away. He asks what they should do in this emergency situation. He tells someone to quickly send help because the master has collapsed at the flea market and needs immediate medical attention. The servant tries to help by telling the master to open his mouth and take a pill that might help with his condition. Just as everyone starts to panic about the emergency, a voice comes from behind them and gives medical advice. The voice tells them to quickly lay the old man flat on the ground because lying face down will make it much more difficult for him to breathe properly. Doan Tukam quickly steps forward to help and places her hand carefully on the old man's wrist to check his pulse and vital signs. The servant asks what she thinks she is doing by touching his master. She responds that anyone can clearly see that she is trying to save the old man's life and help him recover. The servant warns her not to think that just because their master bought something from her earlier, she can do whatever she wants to him now. Doan Tukam begins to diagnose the old man's condition and lists his symptoms. She identifies that he has arrhythmia, severe angina, lung shadows from years of smoking, and had surgery exactly 1 month ago. The servant asks if her diagnosis is correct and accurate. He wonders if she might be some kind of fortune teller because her medical assessment seems so precise and detailed. She tells him to stop talking nonsense and let her concentrate on helping the patient. Chapter 7. Give me the silver needles. How does she know I have silver needles? The master's condition is extremely critical. We can only take a gamble. But the girl used 7 silver needles simultaneously. Even divine Dr. Man would only dare to use 4. The entire process took less than a minute. Doan Tukam withdrew the needles. The moment they were removed, the old man, like Lazarus, sat bolt upright. Incredible. He's actually recovered. Supported by Mu Cheng, the old man rose, his heart feeling remarkably stronger than usual. He then produced a jade pendant, a Mu family heirloom, and offered it to Yun Zikin. This old man's life. You saved it. Please accept this. As long as it doesn't involve murder or arson, the Mu family can grant any request. This isn't just any jade pendant. It represents the promise of the Mu family head. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. May I know the name of my benefactor? My surname is Yun. With that, Zikin turned and left. Surname Yun. Could it be the Yun family, one of the 4 great families of Goose City? What a pity. Why couldn't she be a daughter of our Mu family? The insistent ringing of her phone dragged Yun Zikin from sleep at the crack of dawn. Rubbing the sleep from her eyes, she fumbled for the phone and saw the caller ID, Deputy Shao. Hello, Zikin yawned, her voice thick with sleep. So you were up watching dramas until 5 a.m., Deputy Shao said, a teasing lilt in his voice. I was trying to catch up on 21st century technology, but dramas are such a time sink. Youth is a wonderful thing. Unlike your older brother here, who complains of aches and pains if he loses even a little sleep. Sounds like kidney deficiency. I could fix you up if you're interested. My, aren't you resourceful? Not only a fortune teller, but a doctor too. Impressive. However, could you please stop calling me little friend? It's a bit much, don't you think? We've only known each other a day and you're already trying to claim the older brother role. All right, I'll stop teasing. Don't worry about the trending topic. I'll take care of it. Zikin checked social media. Sure. Enough, the hashtag ungrateful adopted daughter was sitting prominently at number 2. The story detailed a girl who had donated blood to her aunt no less than 20 times in a single year, only to be falsely accused of intentionally pushing her cousin, Lu Wei, down the stairs. And her mother, seemingly oblivious to the truth, had sided with the aunt and condemned her own daughter. Zikin's inbox was overflowing with hateful messages. These people, she thought, seemed to thrive on drama. Just then, her grandmother and Lu Wei arrived, bristling with indignation. Zhang Manhwa stared at them in surprise. What are you two doing here? What? An old woman can't visit her family. That's not what I meant. Mother, why don't you and Ani talk for a bit? I'll go apologize to Zikin. Absolutely not. Elders don't apologize to their juniors. Whoever is wrong should be the one to apologize. Seeing this, Zhang Manhwa quickly called for her daughter. Chapter 8. Someone calls for Zikin to come downstairs because they need to have an important conversation with her about recent events. An older woman asks if this represents how Zikin raises her daughter and criticizes the girl for not greeting her elders properly when they arrive at the house. The older woman states that this family only has one granddaughter and she currently studies abroad in another country. She warns the girl not to try to claim things that do not belong to her by right. Zikin agrees completely and says that she does not have the habit of acknowledging random relatives who show up claiming family connections either. The older woman looks at the girl with disapproval and comments on her ill-mannered behavior when she speaks to her elders without proper respect. She explains that she did not come to the house today just to watch Zikin discipline her daughter about manners. She demands that the girl explain why she pushed Luvi down the stairs and caused her to get injured. The older woman warns them not to think that without Do and Luvi around, this girl can somehow become the mistress of the Jiang family through manipulation. She asks why else the girl would run to her brother-in-law's room and try to seduce him if not for personal gain. The girl responds that he represents nothing that she would bother trying to seduce. The narrator explains that 1 month ago, Zcam was framed by her own aunt in a carefully planned scheme. Her aunt set her up to appear in Jiang Mo Yuan's hotel room at exactly the wrong time. Jiang Mo Yuan also claimed that Zcam deliberately tried to seduce him and refused to give her any chance to explain her side of the story. Because of this scandal, Cheng Man-ho has not dared to step outside of the house for an entire month. Luvi continues her act of innocence and tells Xiao Cam that she should just admit her mistake, and then Luvi promises not to blame her for what happened. Zcam smirks at this suggestion and then calmly takes out her phone to play a recording of a phone call from that particular day. The recording reveals that Luvi had deliberately timed Jiang Mo Yuan's return to the hotel and tricked Zcam into going to the bathroom at exactly the right moment. After everyone hears the recorded evidence, Luvi's face becomes dark with anger and embarrassment. Cam asks if Luvi has anything to say now that the truth has been revealed. Luvi scrambles to recover from this revelation and claims that everything was her fault, because she forgot about this important detail. The older woman then asks about the incident of pushing Luvi down the stairs and demands an explanation for that behavior. Luvi pretends to show concern for Zcam and tells everyone not to blame Xiao Cam for what happened between them. Cheng Man-ho interrupts the conversation and says that everything represents Zcam's fault because she has become very good at sowing discord between family members. Cheng Man-ho becomes extremely angry and points out how many people are calling Zcam ungrateful for her behavior toward the family. She demands that Zcam apologize to her sister immediately for causing so much trouble. At that exact moment, the butler makes an important discovery that someone has posted a video of the party online for everyone to see. The older woman declares that if there exists even a video of the incident, and there can be no denying what really happened. She says that a video provides even better evidence and challenges Zcam to try to deny the truth now that they have visual proof. Luvi suddenly develops a bad feeling about the situation and tries to stop them from playing the video, but her efforts come too late to prevent the truth from being revealed. On the screen, everyone can see Luvi gracefully walking down the stairs in an elegant manner. Halfway down the staircase, she suddenly appears to slip when her foot catches on her dress, and she tumbles forward toward the bottom. One of her hands even deliberately reaches out and grabs at Zcam, who stands behind her on the stairs. The girl reacts very quickly and grabs the banister, just in time to avoid falling down with Luvi. The video exposes the complete truth about what really happened, and it hits Cheng Man-hoa and the old woman like a slap across their faces. Cheng Man-ho's facial expression freezes in shock and disbelief. She stammers and asks how this could possibly be true and says that if Zcam had told her the truth earlier, she would not have misunderstood the entire situation. Zcam responds with a scoff and observes that making false accusations seems to run in their family like a genetic trait. She tells them to keep up the good work with their dishonest behavior. After making this comment, she turns around and leaves the room while ignoring everyone who remains behind. As Cheng Man-ho watches Zcam's small figure disappear from view, a strange feeling of unease begins to rise in her heart. She feels as if something important is slipping away from her forever and moving beyond her ability to grasp or control. Chapter 9. It was the Lantern Festival. The streets were bustling with people celebrating, colorful lanterns hanging everywhere. Doan Tukam watched the children skipping rope in the distance, their laughter carrying on the breeze. A strange feeling stirred within her. Accustomed to days filled with struggle and strife, this newfound peace felt unsettling. She thought back to a year ago when Jiang Vian had taken her away from King Shu County. Fear and uncertainty had gnawed at her young heart. Her foster father, Unfang Min, suffered from severe asthma and needed constant care. Yet he had insisted that she seek a brighter future for herself. But who could have foreseen the consequences? For the past year, she had lived under the constant surveillance of the Doan family, unable even to visit her ailing foster father. She had to return to King Shu County. She couldn't ignore the debt of gratitude she owed him. But before she went back, she needed to gather some medicinal herbs for his treatment. Doan Tukam made her way to a nearby traditional Chinese medicine shop. Inside, Luck Fong was slumped over the counter doing his homework. Hearing footsteps, he looked up just in time to see a small figure approaching the shop. "Sister, look at that Doan family adoptee." The woman beside him looked up. It was the same Dr. Look whom Doan Tukam had humiliated the day before. It really is her. All that attitude and no real skill. "She's coming this way. Don't tell me she's actually planning to buy medicine from us." Ha. Fat chance. Doan Tukam entered the shop. A shop assistant greeted her politely. "Welcome. Please feel free to browse." Meanwhile, the Luck siblings were hiding behind the monitor, watching Doan Tukam surreptitiously. "Sister, why are we hiding from her?" "Who said we're hiding? I'm just waiting for her to embarrass herself and come crawling back to us." Doan Tukam's gaze swept across the shop, then abruptly stopped, fixed on a single point. The Luck siblings felt a chill run down their spines under her sharp gaze. Does she know we're watching her? Chapter 10. Doan Tukam, with her uncanny intuition, naturally knew this was the Luck family's shop, but she didn't care. The herbs here seemed to be of a lower quality and age, but they would have to do for now. "Miss, may I help you?" Red reishi, white atractylodes, rhizome, schizandra, moonflower seed, longshin incense. 10 pounds of each for a total of 30 different herbs. Typical country bumpkin buying herbs by the pound, Luck Fong scoffed. She won't be able to afford it anyway. Luck Tri quickly texted the cashier, so arrogantly in front of the Luck family. "Go ahead, call her. Or I can call her for you." Luck Tri's eyes blazed with fury. She raised her hand to slap Doan Tukam, but before it could connect, another hand intersected it. Before she could process what was happening, Luck Tri was kicked in the knee, sending her sprawling painfully against the counter. Looking up, she was shocked to see Futhuja 1,000. Is the Luck family that short on money? Luck Tri was speechless, unable to respond. "I heard the Luck family is having some cash flow problems lately. That project in the North District. Perhaps we should reconsider." Luck Tri paled visibly. "Young Master Fo, surely not." Thovanthem hung up the phone and glanced at Luck Tri. Luck Tri was furious. She had only wanted to teach the girl a lesson, but now it cost the Luck family a $100 million contract. "Doan Tukam, you'll pay for this." Luck Fong rushed out, shouting, "It's not a big deal. Why are you making such a fuss?" He pointed at Doan Tukam. Chapter 11. Doan Tukam looked at the boy pointing and yelling at her, a bewildered expression on her face. "You? Who are you? You?" Luck Fong was so angry he choked. "We're classmates. Let's just forget about this, okay? Not let's just forget about this. Who are you?" Luck Fong frowned. "We've been in the same class for a whole semester. You don't know who I am. Don't forget, only the top 50 students in our year stay in Class A. I'm the only one who can help you now." Doan Tukam didn't want to argue with him any longer. She gathered her herbs and walked straight out the door. "Please wait a moment. Please take your time. Someone will deliver the medicinal herbs to you." "Sister, are we just going to let this go?" Lu Fang gritted her teeth. "Who allowed that little wretch to walk all over the Lu family? I don't believe she can cling to walking forever." Lu Ji's phone rang. It was her father. "What the hell did you do? You dared to offend the Fu family. Get back home this instant." Inside the hotel room, Gauquin looked at the medicinal herb me. Duan Zikam flashed a mischievous grin. "I'll make sure you're thoroughly satisfied tonight." Gauquin furrowed his brow. "Where did you learn to talk like that?" "I read it in a book, Duan Z." Cam replied nonchalantly. "Books have everything. The 21st century is truly something," she mused. "So many interesting pastimes. You should read less of those kinds of books," Gauquin said with a sigh. "Fine, I won't read them," she conceded. "At most, I'll invite you to watch with me." Gauquin shook his head, chuckling to himself. "I must be losing my mind. She's still just a child. I'm such an idiot." 3 hours later, the pressure cooker dinged and the pills now formed released a delicate fragrance. Apricot kernel pills, good for the heart and spleen. Duanzi Cam carefully placed the pills into a bottle. Here's some for you. Good for the kidneys. Walkwin stood up. All right, let's go eat. Not today. I have to leave the city. Little sister, Jochen said, I don't have anywhere to go tonight. Perhaps you could take me in. That evening, Duanzi Cam arrived back in Qingshu County. It was the Lantern Festival, and she wondered if Wen Feng Mayan had eaten his tanyuan yet. Just as he was getting up, Wen Feng Mayan was seized by a violent coughing fit that lasted for some time. A knock came at the door. Thinking it was his son, Wen Feng Mayan hurried to open it. The door swung open, and Wen Feng Mayan stared stunned at the young woman standing before him. The moonlight cast a soft glow on her dark hair, giving her features an ethereal, almost dreamlike quality. Chapter 12. Jack Cam, why are you here? It's me, Duanzi Cam smiled, taking Wen Feng Mayan's arm. I'm home. Without changing her expression, Duanzi Cam checked Wen Feng Mayan's pulse. Her father's condition was far worse than she had imagined. Why did you leave the Duan family? Did they bully you? Wen Feng Mayan's voice trembled slightly. A simple question, yet it touched Duanzi Cam so deeply that she nearly burst into tears. No, I left on my own. If only I had regained consciousness sooner, what happened that year wouldn't have. When? Feng Mayan sighed in relief. Seeing him again, Zikin was all right, a weight lifted from his shoulders. It's good to have you back, child. Your return brings me such joy. Tinglin has a class today. He should be home soon. His words had barely left his lips when Tinglin's voice rang out from the doorway. Dad, I'm home. When Tinglin's eyes scanned the room, taking in everyone present, he paused for a few seconds, then abruptly turned and ran. He clearly missed his older sister at the sight of her scent and fleeing. It seemed the young boy harbored resentment towards Yun Zikin for not contacting them after returning to the Yuan family. He was unaware that Zikin had, in fact, died once a consequence of multiple blood donations. Yun Zikin found Tinglin watching fireworks from a distance. She approached him and offered him a lollipop. He didn't take it, didn't even move. I thought you were never coming back, he mumbled. But as he glanced down at the lollipop, his expression softened. Under the moonlight, Tinglin noticed the numerous needle marks that dotted his sister's arm. Sister, are you sick? Did the Yuan family hurt you? Yun Zikin offered the lollipop again. Don't be angry anymore. I'm fine. Don't worry. Hearing this, Tinglin obediently accepted the sweet. A year ago, the Yuan family had taken Yun Zikin away. Sister, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been angry. Looking at her younger brother, Yun Zikin's heart ached. Despite his brilliance, Tinglin lived with autism. I don't blame you. Let's go home. Dad's waiting. I didn't go to school this afternoon. I took the day off to buy some meat at the market. Dad's health has been declining, and I wanted to get him something nutritious. The university entrance exams are in June. Have you thought about where you want to apply? Sister, I want to apply to DD University, but the school I really want to attend is Norton University. He paused. Wait, which university did you say? Norton University. The top-ranked university in the world. Yun Zikin fell into deep thought. Since her return, so many things seemed strange. The Nolan family owning a global bank was understandable, but a group of fanatical theological researchers running the world's leading university. That was perplexing. Chapter 13. Lost in her thoughts, Yun Zikin walked home. She pushed open the door and froze. Phew. Yunshin stood in the kitchen wearing a Peppa Pig apron cooking dinner. Wen Fengmian chided Yun Zikin gently. You should have told me you were bringing a guest, child. I would have made preparations. Please don't blame her, sir. I came unannounced. That apron looks terrible on you. Yun. Zikin muttered to Fu Yunshin. What? But this is your favorite cartoon character. You even sleep with a Peppa Pig plush. Little sister. So this is your type, huh? Tinglin teased. No, I don't. Like this. Yun Zikin stammered, her cheeks flushing. Wen Lan, your sister is back. Why are you running away? She saw you and got shy. Shy? How come you weren't shy when you received so many love letters? Yun Zikam, watching Gawkin picking vegetables, asked, Why are you here? Didn't you say you'd let me stay? Trying to trick your older brother. No, I was just afraid of troubling you. It's not right to make a guest do chores. Let me do it. But as Yun Zikam reached out to take the plate of vegetables, her fingers brushed against Fu Yunshin's lips. Little one, why are you getting handsy? Sorry. It's okay. Older brother doesn't mind. He ruffled her hair. At this rate, I'll be bald soon. Little one, what are you thinking about? A figure interjected. Sister, let me help. I heard Sagi men are good at deceiving girls. You have to keep a close eye on your sister. All right, you can be in charge of picking the vegetables for me. Ever since she could remember, only the Wen family had treated Yun Zikam with sincerity. When the Yun family finally sought her out, it was only because they wanted her to have a better life. But from beginning to end, the Yuns hadn't considered her own feelings. So from now on, she would protect her foster father and brother. First, she would bring them to Hu City. It was unbelievable that the Yun family, one of the four great families of Hu City, had severed ties between Yun Zikam and Wen Fengmian and his son with a mere 100,000 yuan. Yet for so many years, only the Wen family had shown her true kindness. Now it was time to repay them. Sister, since when did you develop a sweet tooth? Life is too bitter. A little sweetness makes it easier to bear. Oh, right, the transfer procedures for you to Kinji are complete. They are. But sister, you're bringing Dad and me to Hu City. Aren't you going to let us live with you? Not yet. There are still some unresolved matters. Just stay there and don't worry. I'll take care of everything. What about the Yun family? There are still some scores to settle. Some things can only be investigated clearly within the Yun household. Come on, I'll take you back. Chapter 14. The housekeeper, seeing the servants carrying several boxes, asked curiously, "What's this?" "It's a delivery for second miss. Just leave it in the front yard. Madam is entertaining guests. We can't disturb her." The servants obediently set the boxes down. Unable to contain his curiosity, the housekeeper drew closer and noticed a capital letter printed on the boxes. He was about to examine it more closely when he heard footsteps stop beside him. He looked up to see Yun Zikam staring at him with a cold, indifferent expression. "Second Mrs. Purchases have arrived. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to touch." But Yun Zikam ignored him, crouching down and ripping open a box with her bare hands. Walken had mentioned buying her a box of books before he left. She wondered if they were novels. Instead, they were children's books. She was speechless. Just then, her phone pinged with a message. Fu Yunshen's timely inquiry. "Little one, did you receive the books?" She thanked him through gritted teeth. Looking at the pile of items in the box, the nearby servant's disdain was evident, completely unconcealed. Gemma didn't need any help. She carried the books inside herself. "Second, miss, you can't go in now." The housekeeper hadn't even finished speaking when the door was opened. On the living room sofa, John Manhwa was chatting and laughing with a guest. The sudden opening of the door interrupted what she was about to say. Seeing Yun Zixian, the smile on Zhang Manhua's face instantly vanished. "Why are you back now? Go outside and wait." Gemma didn't answer but retorted, "I've always had one question. What makes someone like you think you can be a mother? You treat your own daughter like a maid, worse than a servant." John Manhwa was completely taken aback by these words. "Say that again." Gemma ignored her and carried her things upstairs. "Is this how the Yun family is? A year ago, you adopted that foster daughter. What were you thinking? Did you find a foster daughter just to spite your own daughter? You're making Mrs. Mew laugh. People of a certain age always want to do some good deeds. By the way, the matter you entrusted to me has been taken care of. I'm very reassured by your work. I'm just here to pick up our old master and, by the way, to visit you." "What? Old Master Mu is in Hu City." He heard there were rare antiques in Hu City, so he rushed here. He almost fell ill on the way, but luckily he met a divine doctor. Furthermore, I hear that her Fundamentals of Computer Science textbook. Black Co, on the other side, suddenly felt a flicker of anticipation. The girl, after self-studying Fundamentals of Computer Science for 3 minutes, successfully counter-hacked the world's fourth-ranked hacker Black Co. It turned out that Black Co had arbitrarily invaded Yun Zixian's computer, disturbing her peaceful life. "Do you really think that after reading that book you can crack my system?" The next second, however, Black Co's computer emitted a beeping alarm. Black Co frantically tried to salvage the situation, but discovered that no matter what command he entered, there was no response. He had no choice but to bow his head to Yun. "Zixian, little girl isn't a name you can call me. There won't be a next time." The hacker whirled around to complain to Fu Yunshan. "Who is this freak you found?" They finished reading a college-level Fundamentals of Computing textbook in 3 minutes and hacked me back. I'm the fourth-ranked hacker in the world, you know. Do I not have any dignity left? So your little friend is that good, huh? This is infuriating. One freak like you in the world is enough, and now there's another one. I'm going to sell all your information to those on the hit list and let them kill you. Just die already. You're driving me crazy, you damn freak." Meanwhile, Joquin calmly prepared to enjoy her afternoon tea. The technology of the 21st century was quite advanced. She wouldn't be bored. Looking at the image of herself wearing, "I've met plenty of people like you." Joquin looked her up and down. "I don't follow ugly people, thanks." A girl at the next table couldn't stand it anymore. She stood up and said she was just taking a selfie. She didn't even take a picture of you. Besides, someone as beautiful as her wouldn't take a picture of you. Right. You're wearing sunglasses. We didn't even recognize you. You think you're the R&B or something that everyone has to know you. Youth 101 is so popular, is there really someone who doesn't know her? Chapter 16. Pay for the pastries. Lu Ziyu, embarrassed and angry, turned and left. Excuse me, miss, which company are you with? Are you a trainee? Can I take a picture with you? I'm not a trainee, but you can take a picture with me. I actually wanted to learn how to take selfies. Then the girl posted the whole incident on social media, immediately sparking a heated debate. Doan Luwei, discovering her sister was trending, thought to herself, does she want to enter the entertainment industry? If she wants to join, it's best if she's under our control. That way she'll be easier to manage. But when Luwei tried to call and ask, she found that Jokwon had blocked her long ago. What is that Jokwon up to now? Fuyanshin arrived downstairs at Duan Zikin's place. What are you treating your older brother to today? Text message and head as a bullet whizzed past. Damn it, someone really wants me dead. The girl had a prophecy that the young man would face a life-threatening attack in 3 days. The young man, disbelieving, spent his days immersed in the bar scene. Finally, Yixu returned home safely. Fu Yunshin had also been updated on the situation. Chapter 17. Young Master Fu almost faces a dangerous situation that could have led to see Yixu was lucky and did not get shot, though he did hit his head somewhere while he was running away to escape the danger. That same evening, Duan Luowei decides to use the opportunity to go back to her family home where the Duan family lives, and she talks to Jean Manhwa about how Joaquin wants to start working in the entertainment business. Duan Luowei explains that Joaquin cannot even sing properly after taking singing lessons. Nightmare. Someone responds that it was not a nightmare, but just a way of teaching some people who do not understand things a lesson. Fu Yunshin taps his fingers lightly on the steering wheel of his car while he talks. He explains that he has been investigating the 4 wealthiest and most powerful families in the city, and he discovered that they only care about making money and gaining profit, and they are even willing to abandon their own daughters whenever it is convenient for them. Fu Yunshin tells someone that he is really curious about why their father decided to name them Dao Dao. The person explains that Dao Dao means that someone is easy to raise and take care of, and when children are young, giving them a simple and humble name makes them easier to raise and care for properly. The person also explains that there is another meaning to the name, which comes from a saying that means their foster father hoped that Dao Dao would have a peaceful and happy life without troubles. Fu Yunshin says that he will also call the person Dao Dao and asks if they mind this, and the person responds that he can call them whenever he wants to. The person then tells him to hurry up because they want to go eat hot pot together. While this conversation happens, news about Duan Luwei possibly being pregnant starts appearing on social media websites and slowly becomes a trending topic that many people are talking about. The person who is the subject of this news looks at her face, which is now covered with a rash, and she has a very unhappy and gloomy expression on her face. She wonders what she applied to her skin that caused this strange reaction. Even the doctor who examined her could not figure out what caused her allergic reaction and rash. Duan Luwei thinks that maybe she should call Third Master for help, but then she decides that she absolutely cannot do that because she does not want Jiang Makan to see her looking like this with her face covered in rashes. Someone tells her that they will go to the capital city to hide for a while, and that she should not appear in public places recently. Duan Luwei agrees and says that now that she looks like a monster, she cannot even show off or appear in public even if she wanted to, because her appearance is too embarrassing and frightening.